Hey guys, Drifter here. Welcome to Black Ops 3 In Depth. In today's episode, we're going to be reviewing the Sheiva assault rifle, and I gotta admit, this is one of the episodes that I have legitimately been excited to do because the Sheiva was one of my favorite weapons in the alpha, one of my favorite weapons in the beta, and it has maintained its status as one of my favorite weapons in the final build of the game, and I think it's a very good weapon too. It is obviously high damage, so let's talk about how much damage first. It'll deal 56 damage up close, it'll drop off to 52 damage at a medium range, we'll say. It's actually a little bit closer, and then 49 damage at long ranges. This is the highest in the assault rifle class for damage, and is an extremely high damage weapon in general, not only for Black Ops 3, but for any Call of Duty game in general. The Sheiva is a high damage monster, probably even more so than the SMR from Black Ops 2. This thing is just beastly, and headshots can kill in one shot with high caliber, which is extremely impressive in my opinion, and that's a one-shot headshot at most ranges too. Now if you stack long barrel on there, it's like almost any range that you're going to be using the gun, but this is a headshot machine, and it's a one-shot machine, which is very unusual for assault rifles, especially in a game like Call of Duty where headshots are not as important as body shots. Not like Counter-Strike here. So this weapon performs very, very differently. What this means for your damage and your shots to kill is that it will kill between 1 and 3 shots, but it's almost always 2 shots. 1 for headshots, 2 for almost every range, and 3 maybe like all the way across the map or something. The 3-shot kill range is, like I said, almost the whole map, and if you're running long barrel, it's pretty much going to be any map. Like, theoretically, there's a range which you can still 3-shot with long barrel, but at that point, the bad guys would be so far away, there'd be like little pixels sticking out just barely the size of the dot on your red dot sight or whatever optics that you're using, so it's not even practical. I personally don't run long barrel on the Sheiva unless I want headshots at long ranges or something. 3-shot kill range is great. I would also like to point out that this is a fantastic weapon for hardcore because it is a one-shot machine at any range. In hardcore, headshot, body shot, behind a wall, across the street, doesn't matter. One-shots everywhere. God tier weapon for hardcore, and I find that it is actually very easy to get Sheiva headshots for whatever. I mean, I'm kind of going for them on this particular weapon, but the recoil's low, the handling is easy, and people just tend to get sucked into my headshots, and I blow heads up, and I really enjoy using this weapon. However, it does have some very serious downsides that will turn off many players. The most serious of which is that its rate of fire is 257 rounds per minute, which is by far the slowest in the assault rifle class. I've said that other assault rifles were slow, the KN-44 is slow, the ICR is slow, the Man of War we know is slow, but this is half of that speed, maybe a quarter of the speed of some of these weapons. It is incredibly slow firing, and you will definitely notice it is noticeably slower than the FAL from Black Ops 2, and more on par with the SMR from Black Ops 2, so it's very slow, it's very easy to oversample semi-automatically. You can't spam the trigger, you have to take your time to kind of time it right and get a feel for it and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, that is a huge problem. However, time to kill is still very good. Your headshot time to kill is instant, so it's 0. They immediately die. The 2-shot time to kill is godly, best of all assault rifles. It kills extremely quickly in 2 shots. 3-shot kill range, or 3-shot time to kill, is pretty much trash. It's awful because the gap between your shots is so huge. And the trick to this weapon is not missing. If you can not miss with this weapon, if you never miss with the Sheiva, you should just go join Optic right now. Like, you should just go join a pro team because you're going to be dropping people faster than they can even compete. However, once you miss 1 shot or 2 shots, your time to kill just goes straight into the garbage, and it's very, very poor. So it is a very high risk, high reward weapon. Aim down sights time, also not ideal at 266 milliseconds. It is slightly slower than average for assault rifles. It's actually almost exactly 1 frame slower. You probably won't notice it, but I did put it on in-depth just in case because it is a handling difference, and I usually run QUICKDRAW to kind of mitigate this. It has wider than average hipfire spread for assault rifles, and it's also just kind of bad at hipfire in general. I mean, it's a slow firing semi-automatic weapon, and you just can't depend on those to get reliable hipfire kills. I would never use this with a laser. I only hipfire it when I'm completely desperate. I would almost never recommend you hipfiring it unless you're desperate and you just need to hope and pray for a headshot or whatever. So yeah, hipfiring very poor, that should be expected. Magazine size is 20, extended mags is 28, much lower than normal for assault rifles. And yeah, I know I goofed this up on the Man of War episode, so I was kind of getting my gameplay for the Sheiva and Man of War, and I was taking turns playing each assault rifle alternately, and I got so used to seeing 20 for the Sheiva, I kind of goofed on that one. But yeah, Sheiva has a low magazine count, though for this kind of weapon, considering it kills in 2 shots, really not a problem. It'll feel like a larger magazine because you'll chew through people really quickly. I don't even reload this gun very often when I'm usually just very like obsessive compulsive about without reloading. Not so much on the Sheiva. Iron sights are very obstructive though, so I feel that optics of some kind are required. The default iron sights are just not very pretty. They are usable, right? Like I can definitely hit people, I can definitely aim, I can get my shots, but they're kind of clunky. They kind of block some of the things I need to see. And for this kind of weapon, which is an extreme precision weapon, optics are just required. Just putting a red dot sight, an ELO sight, a Varick sight, a recon sight. I thought thermal sight was pretty terrible on this one in particular, but any kind of optical attachment will drastically increase your precision and make this a much better weapon. So yeah, your first couple of games with it will probably suck trying to, grind out that iron sight thing. But once you get reflex, man, you are in business. Recoil is extremely low, and thus far I have never needed a foregrip on this weapon. It fires slowly, it doesn't kick much to begin with, it's very precise. I mean, you can run a foregrip if you have to have it. Personally, never needed it, probably never going to use it. I don't know why I would. I can run high caliber instead and just headshot people into the ground. Movement speed is 95%, which is normal for all assault rifles, nothing particularly special about that. Reload time is 2.23 seconds, which is kind of slow. It's a little bit slower than average. Not awful, not the worst. And again, I don't reload too much, so you probably won't notice, but it is slow and it is a negative on the handling. The one unique factor about the Sheiva is that it has the highest wall penetration factor, and that makes it a wall bang machine. So almost all the guns in the game, like SMGs and assault rifles, have the exact same wall penetration factor. The Sheiva has the same wall banging potential as a light machine gun or a sniper rifle, so it deals really high damage on the walls, punching through buildings, punching through cardboard, sheet metal, all that kind of stuff. Doesn't really change your damage very much, and especially with FMJ, you can wall bang people into oblivion. If you want to have some fun, run this with Vision Pulse and just wall bang the devil out of people. Very fun. As for what I think about this weapon, I think this is the highest risk and highest reward weapon in the entire game. The Sheiva is very hard to use. You can very easily screw things up with the Sheiva. Its handling properties are a little bit slow. It fires slowly. It doesn't follow up on shots very quickly, but it can kill people incredibly quickly. You can kill them instantly with a headshot. You can kill them faster than any other assault rifle with 2 quick body shots. It's extremely accurate. You can do it at long ranges. However, it's miserable at hip firing, and when people rush and get up in your face, you're very rarely able to aim down sights and strafe and outmaneuver them. It's kind of a camper weapon, but not as much as like the Manowar or anything like that. With stock, if you have to, or like a reflex sight or an ELO and QUICKDRAW and stuff, you can kind of take it out and use it a little bit more aggressively. Probably much easier to do on PC, where it's much easier to aim with mouse and keyboard and get headshots. Like, I would strongly recommend this over any assault rifle in the game on PC. If you're playing on PC, Sheiva is going to be the way to go, because you can just ding people in the head and drop them instantly. But when you screw up, you're at a major disadvantage. And I feel that this is a top tier weapon if you master it. If you put in the time to master the Sheiva, this can easily be used in competitive. I've even seen it banned in competitive on occasion, mostly because that instant headshot, pros are kind of afraid of that. They don't like being deleted. It's very annoying. And it's very good. It's competitive in pubs. It's competitive in hardcore. It's competitive in every mode, but it's difficult in every mode. You have to earn it in every mode. You have to work for it. It's not just gonna give you kills. You have to earn all of these kills, but when you do, oh man, you can earn some nasty feats with this weapon. As for how I feel it's best used, surprisingly low on attachments. You would think that for this kind of assault rifle, I would just load it down with attachments. I don't really think so. I do think it's absolutely best with high caliber. One-shot headshots is irreplaceable on the Sheiva. There is nothing better about the Sheiva than running high caliber. If you can only put one attachment on it, put high caliber on it. Definitely the way to go. Optics vastly improve this weapon. I personally prefer either Varick's or Reflex, but you can run whatever it is that you want. I also think thermal is kind of terrible, but optics for extra precision, and QUICKDRAW just because I run that on most assault rifles, and this one in particular has a slower aim down sights time, so a little bit of better handling goes a long way. Long barrel I don't feel is really necessary. Unlike most assault rifles, this one has fantastic range. Rapid fire helps a little bit at 6%. It might make your handling of it a little better. You won't oversample, but it's not necessary. Stock's not really that necessary because you're probably not going to be that close a range. You don't want to be that close a range with people to get the benefit of stock. Foregrip's not needed. Just these 3 attachments, and you can go a long way with the Sheiva. Guys, that is all for this in-depth episode. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned something useful. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. The previous episode was on the G slide, and the next episode I got to keep top secret for now. Drifter out.